After Oracle's results surpassed expectations, its co-founder, Larry Ellison, has become the world's richest person for the first time, ending Elon Musk's nearly year-long reign in the top spot. Ellison's fortune soared $101 billion as of about 10 a.m. New York time, lifting his total fortune, according to Bloomberg calculations and the Billionaires Index, to $393 billion US.
Oracle is a beneficiary of massive new AI infrastructure spending and is nearing $1 trillion in market cap. So it's part of that $1 trillion club, you know, that NVIDIA is a part of too.
Oracle Larry Ellison is now the richest person in the world.
Bloomberg is reporting that today Ellison's wealth hit nearly $400 billion. That is more than Elon Musk, who previously held the top spot with $385 billion.
He's hung in there though, isn't he? He's just sort of come back, he's returned. It's a fight there for pole position, but yeah, Larry Ellison's had an incredible week. Whether he holds that position or not, time will tell, but I think, you know, I mean, at that level, you know, he's hit that number one position. My view is, I think that him, probably not Elon Musk, the next 3 years, you know, they'll be in the top 10, but our guess is that Buffett or Berkshire itself, or Warren Buffett's estate, Bill Gates and the likes, and Google will be the ones to watch. You know, you've got to remember that Oracle's nowhere near the capitalisation of Google and Microsoft. It'll be, you know, and look, at that level they've all been successful, there's no doubt about that. But, you know, it's when you start getting up to that position, I think it's 350 billion, 359 billion I think it was, last count. Yeah, I mean, so it's just that's worth Warren Buffett's net wealth is worth today. So he's made that. But whether he crystallised that and took that off the table, which he didn't, where does it look? Where is it next week? And so, yeah, interesting. It's certainly inspiring for business people. You can't compare 2000, 2001 to this because there's real assets. I mean, .com had no revenue, no profit, and in some cases no product. It's quite phenomenal. This time around you have serious revenue, serious profits, and serious products. The key thing to watch, when I say the average market, if you look at the S&P, or the markets now, good buying or fair buying is 22 times earnings. So that is the average of the market where it should be, okay? And so what's happening now is it's trading at 24. AI technology companies now are trading at 26 to 36 times earnings. So, you know, 75% over and above the S&P average. So how sustainable is it? It's not. And I use that as an example as Apple. Apple, its inventiveness, what's next? Most people have got a phone, a watch, a tablet, what next? So I think those companies will still be up there where they ease off and the air comes out of these companies. I think it will, but that's not to say that they're going to die. You know, I would say that, you know, those areas, the companies we've mentioned, are the companies that you'd want to have. I'm not saying a significant percentage of your portfolio, but, you know, if you look at the equity component of anyone's portfolio, you know, the companies that we've talked about, not just the Magnificent Seven, but probably the Magnificent 20 of my own personal global favourites, they need to be of the share equity portfolio, the equity portfolio probably need to be 50% of that. And so because you can't not have Microsoft, Oracle, Berkshire, Netflix, those companies, and probably not Elon Musk. And that's where it gets personal. I can't see how that will compete in the EV space, although there's other with digital technology, robotics, that Elon Musk may do well on. I think he's running out of that. I think he's running out of steam in the EV market. BYD have got him. Well, they're selling more cars now. BYD is selling more cars now than Tesla. The reason why Oracle's different is that they've had the foresight to look at hoarding those chips, look at the data requirements, look at the data storage requirements, and comes with that also the energy requirements as well. A lot of people don't realise that the data and AI takes an immense amount of power to power and cool, okay? So they've been very, in their foresight, NVIDIA's more of a component chip manufacturer, but so it is a master stroke. And that, could you see Oracle in 2 to 3 years double in its size? Possibly, because everything going forward is about storage is a big thing, processing is a big thing, and he's very well positioned. He's not new to the game. I mean, Larry Ellison's been around, for well over 50 years in this space. So he's 83, I think he is now, and I think that particular company will do extremely well. Where they maintain their capitalisation, time will tell. But I think out of any company at the moment, he's probably had more foresight and open thinking in the last 12 months and the next 2 years than probably what Apple has. And so it has been a master stroke. But there's just so much happening in that space. And I think that at the same time, you've got to look at the demand, and the demand take off. But he's certainly well positioned on the chessboard. There's no doubt about that. I think it's just an exciting time to be alive in the era of technology. But I'll say this, everything needs to be kept in proportion. The only reservation I have a look at is there's so much capital that's gone into this space. My only concern is, in accountancy terms, you've got to look at what we call recovery. And so, we go back to that old adage when the plasma TV came out and they were 40 grand. Well, they were 40 grand not because they wanted to charge 40 grand, they had to recover costs for recovery, and there was a limited amount of production. So the only way that you get that over time, how long before that recovery can be absorbed and getting a return? So you're not going to get that recovery. And so let's say that a high end, an Apple iPhone, for example, people only use 4.63% of the capacity they say of an Apple iPhone. That's what they say on a 17, version 17. So, but you pay $2.5 grand, or if you want the high-end version of that. So the concern I've got is you rush in and go and buy the company. You go in and load up and think this guy's got it right. This is what happens, and the fund managers run after it. The fund managers what drives them is the minute they go public, or they strike. Like in mining terms, if they strike something, or they go IPO, or a fund manager buys them, that's where you see share price spikes. So the euphoria when people look into that company, well, I should buy Oracle. They'll be on their phone to their advisors. Why don't I own Oracle? And in some cases, I'm not saying not to run after that euphoria, but you've got to keep things in perspective. And I look at it, you'll find that it's unlikely now after that announcement that they can maintain that. It'll just be interesting to see. Now when you look at the multiples it's trading at, it's ridiculous multiples. And so the only one at the moment, so I'll give you an example. If we look at that company now, and we look at the multiples it's trading at, we look at Berkshire Hathaway today, the average market's 22 times the S&P, and between Facebook, NVIDIA, they're all ranging between 26 and 36. Berkshire Hathaway today is trading at 17 times. Now he has more cash. To give you some idea, he has what that share price, 150 billion, Berkshire Hathaway have 360 billion. So I'd rather, going back to our previous story about business and cash flow tax, you know, I'd rather be in a position of a Berkshire Hathaway because you've got a lot of options, you know, and so, look, I'm not trying to complicate things, but that's how professional investors think. Because a lot of people will run after that and they'll think, well, how far, and they'll go in at the top and then it'll come off. So, but you just got to understand what the multiples are and don't pay too much. But it's successful work. I'm sure the champagne's still flowing at the Ellison household. And I'll probably continue to float all weekend. The tenth of the risk. He's got takeoff. Got takeoff by the global providers. He's a service provider. He's like Telstra and Optus. We haven't got, you only got real one main player here because Optus rent the satellites from Telstra. So there's only one main player when they own the satellites. So he's well positioned.
And you look at risk a lot, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But in that space, I mean, even though when you look at the capitalisation, sub a trillion, and he's worth a third of that, 40% of that. So Elon Musk, so he's worth 40% of the capitalisation of his company, so he's kept a lot of stock. For good reason. It's will that company, that there's more likely that company will go up by 50% in its capitalisation than Tesla in the next 3 years. Because of the business model, because of the demand, the serviceability. Who's going to come in there and try and squeeze him out when he's done deals with Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta? And he's American. Chinese aren't going to come in there and compete with that.